We're here with Cape Town Mayor Patricia de Lille. She's stepping down from office this month. She's also been the city's longest running mayor since the Unicity was formed in 2000. Mayor, thank you for agreeing to this one last interview in this particular office. I'm sure not our last interview with you, but certainly in this office. I'm sure you would agree that this is not how you wanted to see your term as mayor come to an end. Just 2 years ago, you had the backing of the party, of your caucus to stand for a second term. I'm sure over the months you've had a lot of time to reflect. Where do you think it all went wrong?
Well, I think what people perceived to went wrong in the past, and all of those untested allegations that were thrown at me, hoping it will stick. As time went on, a whole thing started unraveling. But then the damage has been done already. And I had to turn to the High Court to defend my name and my reputation. As you know by now, I've won 3 High Court cases. Some of the other dirt that's also beginning to get unstuck is this whole Anthony Fowl matter, that claim I solicited a 5 million bribe from him. That's gone. The 4 people that forged the Auditor General's report, including his signature, I'm now suing the 4 of them for defamation of character. And also I've written to the party to complain about them. The other issue where I was accused that I've interfered with the advertisements for the appointment of area-based directors, I've been cleared of that by council too. There's another report going to council now on the 25th about the trellis doors that I've got at my house, where I did some upgrades at my house. The city then spend 141,000 rand to put in extra trellis doors. That report also looked positive. It's also before council on the 25th. So you can really ask yourself that, you know, what was really behind this? To me, it was a power struggle. You know, politics is about power. You know, people wanted to get into this position as the mayor, so that they could change the agenda and the trajectory that I was putting Cape Town on. But also the agenda that I put Cape Town on, it's all informed by the party's manifesto. The party manifesto, we've overlaid it over the integrated development plan. And so whoever comes in now from the same party must follow what we have said we're going to do. There's absolutely very little room for changes. So you can say with hindsight, it was a hopeless attempt. One, first of all, to smear my good reputation, to damage my name in this country. And secondly, that I decided to go out of my own. I mean, I could have continued to push and continue to fight and win all of the court cases, and like you can see now, as the truth is coming out. But to me, really, it was, you know, I've never fought for a position in my life. I have, since a very young age, I've been fighting for a cause. I was involved in the struggle against apartheid. It was always about the cause and not about personal gain for me. So my fight has never been about this position as the mayor. It was about principle. It was about clearing my name. And now that I've achieved that, I said to myself, you know, I can't stay in this. It's really become an abusive relationship, you know, where people just on a daily basis try to dig up things. And show them that, you know, I love my country, I'm a patriot, I can serve my country in any capacity. And why stay in an abusive relationship like that? So definitely it's not the way that I would have wanted to end. But because of other people's agendas, it's going to end the way it's going to end now.
Why do you think people had this agenda? As I said, they've worked with you so long, longer than any other mayor in the city.
Yes.
Where does this agenda come from?
Well, you must ask them the question. You know, there are certain people who are, first of all, against the organizational development transformation plan of the city. People are totally against transformation. They don't want the city to be transformed. And as part of the transformation plan that council adopted, by the way, and the party approved too, the transformation development plan, was when we have divided the city into 4 areas, 4 area based, like we call them, appointed a mayoral committee member there, but to make sure that we bring parity of service for every single Cape Townian through the area-based service delivery, to make sure and to show that, you know, local government is not just about utility services, water, sanitation, refuge removal, or all of that. Local government, we have got 10 different departments in the city. And the idea was that we have to make sure that each one of those 10 departments delivers service in those particular areas. Some people don't like that at all. And it's to bring parity of services, and I will never apologize for that. So they're against the transformation of the city. There also some of them are against the spatial transformation of the city, because the heat really started coming up when, as the city and council, we decided to release 11 pieces of land in Salt River, Woodstock, and in the city centre. Then also some people were not happy about that. Some of them are also not happy about building affordable housing under the old unfinished bridges that has been standing there for more than 60 years. So certainly people differed with me on transforming the city, and then started inventing all of these things, you know, because they were anti-transformation.
Now that you mentioned transformation in this time, there's a lot: social housing, as you've mentioned, transport, crime, not all of those solely the city's responsibility, but certainly a lot. You said yourself the other night at your final media function, a lot that still needs to be done.
Yes.
Are you satisfied that in the time that you have been here, enough has been done? I mean, we still don't see social housing in the city, for example. Has enough been done in your time to bring about these changes that you've mentioned?
Well, you know, it's a process of transformation. I mean, I started the process in 2011. And through that process, obviously, you had to change the policies, which that policy process in itself took about a year and 18 months. And I will say, the first one to admit that a lot still need to be done, but a lot has changed. And the changes, the visible practical changes that you can see, for instance, in our previously disadvantaged areas, is what we call our redress project, where during apartheid people just had those cement slabs as roads, no pavements. We lifted that up, we put in proper roads, we put in proper pavements, just sort of beautifying the area. Thousands of houses were built between 1994 and 2005, were built without ceilings, were built without waterproofing the walls. I mean, like really rubbish that were built. What we've done is to move in and to put in ceilings there and to change and make it waterproof. That also changed people's lives. The other one too is the excess of basic services for people living in backyards. I said that the least that we can do is to make sure that while they are waiting for a housing opportunity, that the least we can do is to provide them access to water, sanitation, and electricity. So we rolled out a massive backyard program. And I have got many before and after pictures that I can show you from what it was and how we've changed it over the past 5 years. But it's no ways that any government can deal with the historical imbalances of the past, that has been there for more than 350 years, you cannot erase that within a period of 24 years. So it's a process, and I'm quite happy and comfortable at the time when as the mayor, I've done the best that I could with the limited also resources that we have.
Mayor, there have been some controversial development decisions in the city during your time. The high-rise buildings in the Boerkaap, for example, the development of the PHA area, Maiden's Cove now more recently, the Foreshore Freeway. How do you see those projects moving forward from here? Would you really want to see your successor take those forwards, given the controversy that has surrounded those projects during your time?
Well, first of all, these kind of projects of integrating the city has never taken place in the past. I was the first mayor who started the integration process in the city of Cape Town to bring people closer to working opportunities, to make sure that, our people spend a lot of money on transport, for instance. And so in the process of doing those projects, let me give the example of the unfinished freeways. It's been there for 60 years. Nobody's ever attempted to fix it. And I said, it's a legacy project. It's not going to stand there as a sore eye for how many years still to come. And underneath those bridges were 6 hectares of land belonging to the city of Cape Town. And then we then said, we can release the land for development so that we can finish those bridges, but with 2 conditions. The one is that whatever development comes in there must assist us to deal with the traffic congestion. And the second one was that it must include affordable housing. Now, that was the first for the city of Cape Town. And in the process of doing this, because once we have taken the in-principle decision, it then goes into the administration. It was in the case of the Foreshore found that, and the previous city managers who seek legal advice on it, that due process was not followed by the administration, and the advice was to start it over, and that is the advice that the city manager took. And as we speak now, there's a multidisciplinary team in the city looking at, how to draw up the specification that we can avoid the previous process problem. Now, the Maiden's Cove one was started also about 3-4 years ago. Again, it was a massive project. It was to make, Cape Town accessible and open, that everyone in Cape Town can enjoy the beautiful view on that side of the Atlantic board. Another condition was that the income from that development we will use for social housing in the city center, because I said it's unfair that people who who work in Sea Point and Camps Bay and all of those areas have to travel all the way from Mitchell's Plain, from Archillies, so they should live closer. So that was going to be the outcome of that development. Again, due process was not followed. There were a lot of people who were objecting against it. There's now a review before the court, where I think the Bungalow Association or somebody, they've taken the city to court, and they're going to take our whole process for a review, and part of the issues that they mention is that we didn't follow due process. So the idea and the concepts are still there, and they can still be implemented if we follow the right procedures. It should not be stopped, because those are the commitments that we made, not me as the mayor. As council approved those things, that this is what we're going to deliver to the city of Cape Town. And like I've said, whatever I'm going to do in my next phase of my life, if they decide to cancel those the integration of the city, if they decide not to go ahead to build affordable housing inside the city, I will be the first to mobilize Cape Townians to come and toy here in the city.
You brought up your future, what that holds. You've been playing your cards fairly close to your chest as to what you plan to do. It was quite notable that you weren't part of the DA's Western Cape campaign. Is it fair to assume that you are not going to be campaigning for them in next year, for next year's election?
No, I did receive an invite. I must be fair. Please don't read anything into it. It's just because the date was changed and shifted. Then I couldn't make it because I had some commitments on already that Saturday morning. But it's not that I didn't want to go there. And you know, I mean, the campaign was also not just around me. It's a provincial campaign. And so the provincial candidate was there, the mayor-elect was there, all the MACO members were there. So it was nothing sinister that I didn't go there. It was just that I had previous commitments that I had to keep.
So will you then be actively campaigning for the party for next year's election?
Depending on what I decide to do with my life after this.
When are you going to decide what you're going to do with your life? Will you at least be staying as a councillor? Let's keep it as simple as that.
I've not made any decision. Because you know what? Not in this kind of atmosphere that we are operating. My focus now is to clear my name. And in the process, now I've come a long way now in terms of clearing my name. I've won all of these court cases. It's very important to me. People don't understand this. That your name, your integrity is priceless. I mean, that's why I invested my own money to clear my name. That whatever I decide to do in future, I can't have this dark cloud hanging over my head. I need to clear it. Because the media will be the first one to say, oh, she's been found guilty of this. So far, I've not been found guilty of anything. So I need to clear my name. I've got an idea of what I want to do, but I need to clear my name so that I go back and restore my dignity, restore my reputation in South Africa. And I've said to South Africans, you know what? I've never been a person with an ego. I've always been humble and I've always served this country, and I'm prepared to serve my country in any capacity. And when the time is right, I will certainly make a public announcement and say what I'm going to do.
You mentioned clearing your name. You had previously said when the DA dropped the disciplinary processes for you that you felt vindicated, I think was the word you used. And you also said that you'd cleared your name, although now you're explaining that it's still part of a process that you're taking step by step to clear your name. I mean, with even those steps that you take with this disciplinary process, as you said, these allegations will swirl around you forever. Was that the wisest decision to take? Because there will still be answers to questions that we'll never know the answer to.
No. It's for me, you see, I've never made a deal with the Democratic Alliance. That's point number one. I've never walked away from a disciplinary committee. It's point number two. In fact, when on a Thursday night, the DA said that they will stop the motion of no confidence, because they've been running these due processes, disciplinary and motion of no confidence, because they were just hell-bent on getting rid of me. And they thought that through a motion of no confidence they could do it quicker. Then we agreed that we were now going to have the disciplinary hearing. It's going to be open to the media. And we were going to proceed as soon as possible, like that Monday already. They call that. I was happy because now I got what I was asking for, open hearing, public meeting and everything. Then, of course, the Thursday was the caucus meeting, the council meeting and the charges, and the motion of no confidence was withdrawn. So on the Monday, I had a meeting set with my lawyers, for a pre-trial with the DA lawyers the Monday afternoon at 4 o'clock. And then that Sunday night I was approached again to say that the party has made a decision to withdraw the charges. Now I know why. Because during all of the court cases, I have asked consistently to please give me the evidence, the names of the people, the surnames of the people, when this incident happened. Because all of those untested allegations were widely distributed by the Democratic Alliance to the media. The media reported on it extensively. I had to go to court to compel the party to give that evidence with the names of the people. And that court case was supposed to be now on the 1st of November.
Is that not proceeding?
Well, the whole thing is in a flux. the whole thing is in a flux now. I have not withdrawn the court cases. But what from the DA side is that they are prepared to abandon the whole Steenhuisen report. Now, you know what it means when you abandon something. It means it's got no force and effect. It's null and void. And they had to do it because they couldn't produce the evidence arising out of that report. And I had to go to court to compel them to give the evidence. And under oath, and you can look at the court papers there, it was submitted on the 27th of June, 27th of June. In a sworn affidavit under oath, the party actually said that they cannot give it to me because all DA information is confidential and private. So this saga is not over yet. We have made that agreement. It was not an agreement where I said, okay, I will resign if you withdraw the charges. No, not at all.
Again, with hindsight, do you regret having joined the DA and put your political lot in with the party, knowing what you know?
No, I don't regret it all. When I started working together with Helen Zille, way back in 2007, we'd agreed on a bigger project and a bigger picture. And that was to say that if we build an alternative to the ANC government, that the people will vote for that alternative. And Helen and myself, together with Cope and UDM at the time, started this process of talking, how can we build this alternative? And in the process, we also agreed as a way forward that political parties had to get mandates from their respective parties before we proceed with building and forming this alternative. It then ended up that the ID first at our National Congress here, the Convention Center, over 1,000 delegates, gave us the mandate to proceed talking to the opposition parties to build this alternative. So I had a mandate. Then 6 months later, the DA had their conference and Helen Zille got the mandate. I can recall we all went to go and speak at different parties. So I'm still committed to building this alternative. And everything that I've made decisions about in my life is never about me, about personal gain. It was about the bigger picture. So there's still a need to build this alternative. And so no, I've got no regrets. I've done what I was supposed to be doing. As the ID and the DA, we finally came together in 2014 after working together for more than 7 years. We were brutally honest with each other. We put our books on the table. We ran joint campaigns and all of that. And there's still a need for that in our country today. Now, I've got no regret. There are certain individuals in the party that certainly have attempted to sink me politically by coming with all of their dirt and their smear campaigns, which they have not really been successful in. So that's what I say, to me right now, it's all about clearing my name.
Why do you think people are so hell-bent, as you put it, to sink you politically?
I really don't care what their reasons are. I really don't care. You know, I mean, I will not stoop to their level of kindergarten, ECD kind of early childhood development politics, novice politics, to become so obsessed in the things that they are saying and doing without backing it up with evidence. I won't sink that low.
That said, you were mentioned earlier, a city report. There's still a Bowman's investigation into, well, 2 as I understand it, and 1 specifically directed on you. By the time, I don't know where that report is at, but presumably by the time it gets ventilated in the city, you might have left. You certainly maybe won't be the mayor anymore. How should that find negatively against you? What would your steps? I mean, no steps can be taken against you as a councillor then, presumably if you no longer stay on as a councillor, but how will you tackle that?
No, no, not at all. I fully cooperated with the Bowmans, you know. Yes, yes, we interviewed. My lawyers submitted all their questions. No, I fully cooperated. I always said that I support an investigation into all of these allegations because, you know, it needs to be tested. So I fully cooperated with them. I think there will be a report to council at the end of this month. That if there is, because they can only make recommendations, they can't find me guilty on anything. If they, for instance, recommend that I need to be disciplined for any specific charge against me, I will remain here until that is done, so that I can also clear my name.
Just to go back to an earlier point you made, you said you don't regret the ID throwing in its lot with the DA.
Yeah.
The ID remains, as far as I can ascertain, a registered party with the Electoral Commission. Any chance of you reviving that party?
We've kept it registered for a specific reason, that nobody else can use that name afterwards. That's why it was never deregistered. You're right, it is still registered. I've not decided what we want to do. I've not decided on whether I want to revive the ID or whatever. It's part of my announcement that I will make, what I decide to do. You know, if I still want to be involved in politics, I've been made many offers, you know, which I all have to put everything in a pot and decide.
Could you accept an offer if you were to pick from another political party your views? Who would they most closely be aligned to?
No. I won't choose another political party. I can tell you that. Never? I think there's a current leadership deficit in our country, in the world. In fact, I mean, if you look at what's happening in America with Donald Trump, there certainly is a leadership deficit. But you know, to me, it's always not about me. It's about what is best for our country. What will take this country forward? What must each and every one of us do on a daily basis that can say that we need to expand the number of people that are tasting the fruits of our new democracy? There are just too few people tasting the fruits of our new democracy. And I fought in the struggle against apartheid. And for me, it's painful to see that, yes, we've made progress, but very slowly, and there's still so much to be done. That you need the kind of leadership that put the people first, you know, that can take our country forward. And so, as you can see, the political scenario changes on a daily basis, but certainly I will not go to any of the existing political parties.
You bring the point up about leadership. A lot has also been said about your leadership in the city.
Yeah.
Again, with hindsight,
yeah.
Would you have changed the way you've managed the city up until now?
No, not at all. Not at all. All of those faceless, nameless, useless people who accuse me of all kinds of things, they should have known that there's a code of conduct in the city and in the party. And if they were unhappy about my leadership style, they should have raised it there and then. Not afterwards when they were trying to invent all of these things against me. I will not change. I am driven by my passion for the love of poor people. And whatever stumbling block is in the way of getting to the most vulnerable in our society and deliver services, I will deal with it. And that's what I've done. I've had meetings with executive directors, with councillors, and I've said to them, people, this must be solved there, that must be solved there. That's my style. I want to get things done. There's an urgency that's missing in government. And that urgency is that, yes, you can have all of the civil servants sitting there with permanent jobs. And when you come in as a new mayor, they just see you as a temporary inconvenience for 5 years. I told them, no, I'm here to deliver services in those 5 years. And so in my first 5-year term, out of what we said we're going to deliver in terms of the IDP, we've delivered 99% of that. Again, you will find some people who are quite comfortable in their comfort zone, who don't think about the poor, who don't think about the vulnerable, that will sometimes deliberately delay things or will not have that urgency, and then I will call them to order. You also find people who will say, oh, the laws say you cannot do that. You're not allowed to do that in terms of the law. In my first 6 months when I came into the city, I heard that excuse almost every second day. I then developed a counter mechanism whereby I said to them, if you say that I can't do this in terms of the law, bring me the Act of Parliament, bring me the regulations of that Act, and you show me the clause in that Act that say I can't do it. Because you have to read any Act of Parliament together with the regulations. And I used to be a member of Parliament for 15 years. I was there writing these laws and these acts. And I can tell you, not one law is designed to prevent service delivery. The law is designed to facilitate service delivery. And so I will send them back and I will say, now, give you 24 hours, come and show me that piece of legislation. And I can tell you 99.9% of the cases, they couldn't come back with a piece of legislation. Oh no, it's just the convention, we used to do it like that. And then I, in the meantime, would have picked up the phone and got a legal opinion. And when they come back, I said, this is what the interpretation is. Don't be a pseudo lawyer. This is the legal interpretation. Take this now and go and implement it. So, no, I wouldn't have changed anything. I must say I learned a lot. But I also knew right from the beginning that the overarching pieces of legislation within the city, the Systems Act, the Structures Act, and the MMFA, you can't read any of those acts alone. You have to read them together. And I used to find the synergy in those legislation to drive service delivery in the city. And it's under my leadership where we got 4 clean audits. Before that, until I came here, the city of Cape Town never had a clean audit. They had unqualified audits with findings for many, many years. For many years. It's the 4 years in my first term that brought 4 clean audits. And then 16, 17, we have reverted back to an unqualified audit with findings. So this unqualified audit with findings used to be the norm in the city. I came and changed it to 4 clean audits.
Just a lot, I suppose, in the last year has almost put a negative spin on this office and on you personally. But if you had to put all of that aside, you mentioned having been an MP for 15 years. From a personal perspective, you've already said you've learned a lot.
There's nothing negative on this mayor's office. As we sit here, Lindsay, since I announced that I was stepping down at the end of October, people are walking in here every day to say, Mayor, please just do this before you go. I've got a lot of trust from many Cape Townians, trust me. And that's why they've come and asked me even now. You've just seen Archbishop Thabo Makgoba living at my office. He came here to pray for my staff and to pray for the office and to say thank you. So negative perceptions about my office, no. Certain negative things that is being said about this office by many of the early childhood development that could not have been proven up till today. So please, there's nothing negative about with this office. I'm leaving this office with my head held high.
Okay, let me rephrase it. Just your political career has been a long one.
Yes.
Personally for you, where does ranking, being the mayor of the city of Cape Town, where does that rank for you from your personal experience?
Well, from my personal experience, really the way I looked at this position is that it's here in Cape Town where I started my political life. It's here where I started throwing stones and marches and protests, and we used to march to Parliament all the time, every year with the opening of Parliament. And when I finally got the opportunity, and I want to say thank you for the opportunity to have served the people of the city of Cape Town, for me it was like coming full circle, you know, from fighting for this freedom to have the vote to coming here to serve the people. And I'm very grateful for that. I mean, it's a part of my life that, you know, I really live it. I've internalized, you know, what needs to be done, and I feel it, you know, emotionally very attached to the people. And I've given my best while I'm here. So I hope that the next person who's going to come in will continue to do what I did, and that was to listen to the people that put you there. When I came back in 2016 with the 66.6 majority, I think that was my most anxious time. I couldn't listen you in the city, given the 66.6% majority. How do you manage this not to disappoint people? I became there's there a lot of anxiety as to how do I have to change my life so that I can give my full and 101% attention to Cape Town. And that's why I resigned as the DA provincial leader in 2017.
Do you feel that having to leave now sooner than you might have hoped, that you've disappointed some people?
I can tell you the people out there are very disappointed that I'm leaving. But, you know, I had to explain to them that, you know, when you are in an abusive relationship, like I normally say to abused women also, I always advise them to walk away. And I said to them, I'm walking away from an abusive relationship because my fight has never been about the position as mayor. It's always been about principle, and it's always about the people of the city of Cape Town. Even now, I'm putting the people of the city of Cape Town first. I've not missed one single day of work because I will come to work 16 hours a day, whether I'm sick or whatever, because I've always put the people of Cape Town first.
An unusual situation.
Yeah.
You took over from Dan Plato. Now you
Yes.
give back to him.
Yes.
What has your engagements been with him in these weeks where you making time or preparing to leave?
Well, I certainly had about 3-4 meetings with him now. I know Dan, and we've worked together before. I have shown him the report that I'm preparing, that I will be making public. What is it I'm going to hand over to him? You know, any outstanding problems and all of that, and he's happy with the format. He also wanted more information on, for instance, the EPWP and how we can increase the numbers, safety issues, the issue of the high tariffs. He's also concerned about that, and I'm also giving him a report about these high tariffs because there's a lot of unhappiness out there about the high tariffs, a lot of unhappiness about the high water bills, for instance. So I'm in the process of preparing that for him. And I was hoping that, you know, you could come and spend some time with me so that we can sit down. But otherwise, I don't have a problem with him. I think the difference is that when I came in here, there was hardly a handover. I basically, which was a good thing for me because I could find my own feet and sort of put my own approach to things over that. But he's coming to take over the city with the highest access to basic services in the country, taking over a city that is being recognized for our foreign direct investment strategy, and all of these hundreds accolades that we've received. And then, of course, I couldn't have done it without the 26,000 employees of the city. On Wednesday, I will be saying thank you to the top 500 senior managers in the city and introducing the new city manager to them. So I'm leaving behind a city that is well run, that is well managed, that holds all the national records for performance. There are many things that's only happening here in the city, for instance. Then if you recall, we're the only city in the country that offer help to the unemployed with free bus rides to go look for a job. And there are many of those things. But I think in the next week or so, I'll be meeting with him again.
Just lastly, do you think the city could have handled the day zero? I mean, that really drew international attention. Yeah. Do you think the city could have handled that situation better?
No, not at all. You see, there's no measurement. If you say we're going to handle it better, this is the worst drought in 100 years. Was there a previous example of how people dealt with this 100 years ago? No. But also in the past 10, 15 years, the impact of climate change on cities around the world. Yes, we could have started earlier and putting in the Day Zero plans, but we've really sat down and said, look, here is a 15-year master plan. Look through the 15-year master plan, and you see that this master plan is on the basis that we're going to get our winter rainfall every winter. I said, no, we now need to look at a new master plan. We then did scenario planning of where we could go to, and we brought in Clem Santner, who facilitated this for us, and we came up with a new scenario called the new normal. And the new normal is this, that Cape Town will never ever have the same water security anymore because of climate change. And so we also then said to make the city not run out of water, if Cape Townians are using minimum 500 million litres of water per day, we need to augment that with other sources of water, because you can't just rely on rainwater. And we've done all of that, and the campaign that has never been done anywhere else in the world. In 2016, we were using as a collective, as the City of Cape Town, 1.2 billion litres of water per day. As we speak now, 2 years later, it is just about 500 million. It has never happened anywhere in the world. I've just come back from a climate action conference, and everybody wanted to know, how did we do it? But it's through water conservation that we were able to survive the drought together.
Lastly, Mayor, what will you miss most about being in this office?
Now, I've got a lot of dedicated staff that never complained about the different hours, long hours that they have to work. They're always available. Sometimes I was a bit naughty when one of them, they forget to report back to me on a specific issue. And 9, 10 o'clock at night, I will remember. And I'll pick up the phone and say, Zara, where's this? Or Parin, where's that? So I've got a very professional team. I tell you, without them, I would have not been able to do what I'm doing today. So what I will miss most is that I like to be busy, busy every day. Like I always say, when I was at Parliament, I used to wake up in the morning and say, oh, what am I going to say today? Who am I going to fight with again today? Or what campaign was I going to run? I did 2 campaigns at Parliament against the cell phone interconnection rates. I clubbed all of them. And then I did another campaign on improving services for children in jail. So there, it's all about campaigns and leading campaigns. But here you wake up in the morning, you say, what am I going to do today? It's a big difference. And then you do it and you can see the impact and you can see the difference. I think that is what I will miss most. Because not one single day in this office is the same. And then I'm my own worst enemy in terms of managing my diary. Because, when somebody phones me now, and everyone has got my cell phone out there, phones me now and say, Mayor, we've got this problem, I change my diary because the people's problems cannot wait for you to have time in your diary. So I think that activeness, I'm still an activist, I've never given up being an activist. And so that I will surely miss. Yeah.
Mayor, thank you very much for your time, as always, to be available to us, even if we've disagreed in the past on certain issues, but appreciate that you've always been available to us.
Oh, thank you so much.
That was an interview with Mayor Patricia de Lille. She's been Cape Town's mayor for the last 7 years and steps down now at the end of October.